Good afternoon. I want to welcome each and every one of you to this awesome symposium. I want to take this opportunity to first and foremost thank the host of this symposium. Thank you so much, Jacqueline Cabah Harrison, for having me, for allowing me to share with your audience and your constituents. I want to introduce myself. I am Dr. Carolyn Stevens. I'm located here in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a family therapist. I work currently as a contracted therapist within the community. I am also the CEO of Black House Collaboration Incorporated. I am the creator and visionary for the I Am a Black Woman, I Am a Black Man book projects. I am also the CEO of Global Empowerment Women's Network. And so, hello to everybody again. I hope that you're just as excited about being a part of this symposium as I am. I am so super excited. And so, the theme of my session is called The Culture of Collaboration: 6 Steps to Effective Collaborations. So I pray that this will be helpful to you. I know that it will. And I pray that you'll enjoy this, okay? So since we only have a little space of time, I'm going to be doing a session that normally would take me several hours to deliver. And so we're going to try to crunch a lot of that information in, and I'm just going to share some of the pertinent points of this particular training with you. So I want to start out by sharing 2 of my favorite quotes that relate to collaboration. So the first one says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that is an African proverb. Not sure who the writer is, but it's an African proverb. The second one that I like, and there are many that I like, but I just picked 2 of my favorite. The other one says, no one can whistle a symphony. It takes a whole orchestra to play it. And that is a quote by H.E. Lukács. So I hope that you enjoyed those. Those are 2 of my favorite, and I do have one more, and I'll probably share that one more at the end. So this word collaboration, it seems to be all the buzz now. This seems to be a buzzword in business, and everybody is looking at collaboration. So how do we set up effective collaborative projects? So again, a little bit about myself. I now kind of deem myself as a master collaborator because I've worked on so many collaborative projects, which is what was the nemesis for the name of my business, Black House Collaborations, okay? And that's what we do. We do collaborative projects. I absolutely love collaborating with other great minds. There are so many advantages to collaborating, and we'll talk about a few of those. But before we do, let's get a clear definition about exactly what is collaboration. So Webster defines collaboration as the action of working with someone to produce or create something. So it's the action of working with someone or several people to create or produce something, all right? And so the objective of this session is to give you some pointers on how to collaborate effectively, so we're not just producing or creating something, but that will hopefully produce or create something great. So let's talk about what are the advantages to collaborating with other people. Because I'm sure that on this platform that I am talking with lots of solopreneurs. And that is somewhat of a millennial term that is used now. And it basically means that you're an entrepreneur, but you work mainly by yourself. How many of you out there work pretty much by yourself? And you kind of like it too. I understand. I've been a solopreneur for years, done everything myself, and there are still things that I do by myself. But when I was introduced to the concept of collaborating with other people, it's not a new concept. It's a very old concept, but it's kind of new for us now because many of us are embracing the idea of collaborating with other great minds. So why do we collaborate with other people? What are the advantages of collaboration? So let's talk about three of them. One is economically. So for example, when you start out with a vision, you have a project, you're going to create a budget for that project. And you might create a project, and once you look at the budget on your own, you may not have the capital at the moment, okay, to fund that project. Collaborating with other great minds can certainly be advantageous financially because you can create a collaborative project where a part of that means that those partners come and they pool their resources and their finances together in order to be able to finance the project so that you don't have to wait so long and that you can begin your project immediately. So the economical advantage, that's one reason why people decide to form collaboration for a project. The second reason is fiscal reasons. Okay, so when you're a solopreneur, when you're used to doing things by yourself, you're used to handling and managing everything by yourself, we know the downside of that is that you can get tired faster. So when we collaborate with other great minds, then we're able to share in the physical work. We're able to share that, okay? And I call it, we can kind of parcel it out, okay? Because when you're working with a group of people or you form a collaboration, hopefully these are people who are vested, okay, and they don't mind doing the work. Or you can create a collaboration where people do percentages of the work based on their skill set. But it certainly can take all the load off of you, just the one person. The third advantage to being a part of or forming a collaboration is the emotional part. Now, being a therapist, I work with people like yourself who are solopreneurs, who are in business by themselves. And many times we get burnt out. And when you're working by yourself, sometimes you don't have the luxury of having a person that you can spin ideas off of, maybe that you can talk to about your frustrations or your anxieties or things that come up when you're doing projects. So the beauty of having a collaboration is that you get to kind of talk to those people who are involved with the project. Okay, you have someone that you can spin things off of. You can share ideas. You can share your frustrations. You can share some of your anxieties. You can draw off of each other's strength. So those are three advantages to collaborating with other people. So now, since we got a definition of what a collaboration is, let's talk about 6 steps to forming an effective collaboration. Step number 1, define your purpose. Okay, so when you define your purpose, you want to be real sure to include what I call the we factor. So if you've been a solopreneur and you had not been used to collaborating with other people for your baby to produce your project, to be a part of your vision, so you're going to have to change what we call in therapy your pathology. That means that instead of thinking about I, Now you have to change your vocabulary to we. So you have to define your purpose. So you have to make sure that you know exactly what it is that you want to do, that you're very clear. It's just like being in business by yourself. You're very clear. But this is an area that you really got to focus on, because remember, now what you have to do, you're not working alone. You're working with other partners. So now you have to do what we call in leadership, you're going to have to cast that vision to other people so they can come on board. Or we call that the buy-in, okay? How are you going to get these other collaborative partners to buy into your vision? You've got to be really clear about what your purpose is so that you can cast your vision to those other people and they can buy into it because it fits into their purpose, the things that they want to accomplish, all right? So clarity of purpose, be very sure about what your purpose is and be able to articulate what your purpose is. It's nothing more frustrating than being on a project and you don't really know what the purpose of the project is. Now, you're going to define what the purpose is, but having collaborative partners, they're going to help you define how to execute the project. Okay, so there's a difference. All right, let's go down to step number 2. Get aligned. So I call that the why factor. This is going to be a very critical piece. Okay, so this piece is critical because now this is about ensuring that everybody on the team understands the why. Why are we doing this? Why do you want to be a part of this? Why do you want to do it? Let me give you an example. Let's say you've got a project and your project is you want to empower women to be financially sustainable. Okay, that's your why. You want to see women be more independent. You want to see them grow their net worth. You have a why because you want to empower women. All right. So now let's just say that there's a person or a group of people that you'd like to collaborate with them on executing this project. But the problem is when you ask them, well, why do you want to do this project? Some of them may say, I'm trying to build a platform for myself. I'm trying to empower myself. Okay, not that that can't be a benefit, but what is your why? And if your why doesn't match up with my why, because I'm trying to empower the world here, you may be just looking for a platform for yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But can you see that the two of those, they don't line up? Okay, so you got to get aligned. You got to make sure that the people that you collaborate with, that they all have the same why. They may have a different way they go about executing it, but the why is the same because we all want to empower women to be financially sustainable. Or it could just be we all want to empower women. One may want to empower women to be financially sustainable. Another one may want to empower women to be more healthy. Okay, so it can branch off, but the why, the core of the why has to align with each other. Other than that, you're going to have chaos. Step number 3, get structure. Okay, that is going to be very important because now that you know your purpose, you have gotten aligned with the right people, all right? Now you can't just take those people and throw them in a room and say, okay, everybody start collaborating. If you do that, you're gonna have chaos. Why? Because we can't just assume that everybody that's a part of the project knows how to collaborate with other people. Maybe you have just joined in with some other solopreneurs that are used to working alone. Okay, remember you're collaborating with other people that come from different backgrounds. They have different pathologies, different ideologies, different learning patterns, different behavior patterns. Okay, so the first things we have to make sure that we do know how to collaborate. We have to have an understanding that there has to be a clear leader for this particular project, okay, that spearheads the project. We've got to be real clear about that. You know, there's a saying, is too many chiefs and not enough Indians? That's chaotic. We have to have a clear idea of who is best qualified to spearhead the project. Everybody will have their role, but there has to clearly be what we call a set man or a leader that, you know, is the one that takes the steering wheel and say, okay, so I'm driving the project, and that's my job as a leader, okay, to drive the vision. Okay, so it's really important that we have to have structure. Okay, there's nothing worse than being a part, especially of a collaboration, and then there's no structure. So that's important. Step number 4, I want you to listen real careful because this is really important. So when you're creating your team, when you're looking at, okay, the people that I want to collaborate with, rather than playing into the politics of the who do I want on my team, we should be looking at not who should be in the room, but think through it in terms of not the who, but the what. Now, I know you say, Dr. Carolyn, what exactly does that mean? I'm glad you asked. Okay, because sometimes when we're looking to collaborate with other people, we may call and pick our best friend. Okay, we may get our BFF or our next door neighbor. Okay, just because we know them, because we're familiar with them. And that could work sometimes, but that might not, just because they're your friend, it might not be a good fit for the project, okay? So you want your project to be effective. So step number 4, get diverse. That's going to be the challenge of the leader or the visionary, is that you got to start to think in terms of diversity. So it's not who do you want in the room, but what do you want in the room? What kind of perspectives do you need to execute your project? What kind of mindsets do you need in the room? You see, that's where diversity comes in. Maybe if you're doing a women's empowerment project, you might need women that come from the community. You might need women that come from corporate. You might need women that come from upper echelon, okay? You might need women that come from various socioeconomic places, okay, in order to get the type of diversity that you want so that your project, okay, will be feasible for various kinds of women. So if you're trying to attract various types of clients, various kinds of women, okay, then you're going to need collaborative partners who are also just as diverse as the people that you're trying to attract. You need people that have a different perspective. Okay, I didn't see it that way, but Clara has a different perspective. Joe has a perspective. Sally has a different perspective. This is what's going to give us the diversity, or what I call the range of your project. And that is going to dictate to how effective your project will be. Sometimes it may require that you go outside of your culture. Let me kind of explain that. Because when I say outside of your culture, I'm not necessarily talking about in terms of ethnicity, okay? But it could mean that. But it also could mean that if you are surrounded in your culture, let's say by people who are in corporate America, Okay, they have a certain ideology, a certain way they do things, a certain way they look at things. You may have to step outside of that corporate culture and go into another culture, or bring in another person from that culture in order to add to the diversity of your project. Okay, and various people, different people with different backgrounds, different ways of doing things can add to the flavor of your project. You know how it is when you're cooking something? Just don't use salt. No, when you're a real cook, you may use some salt, pepper, oregano, basil, sage, all of these different kinds of seasonings to get one good flavor. And those diverse seasonings, they make up the totality of the dish. The same way with the project. When we say we want to add different seasonings, okay, we're talking about different people, diverse people, okay? And so that means that you're going to have to be diverse. You're going to have thinking that is diverse. All right, step 5, get human. Get human. Collaborations require constant nurturing, reassessment, and the P word, patience. Okay? Because remember that you're working with what? Not robots. You're working with people. So when you're working with people, you as the leader, as the visionary, you may have to sharpen your soft skills. There are some people who lead a little bit more nurturing. There are some people who are audible learners, visual learners, tactile learners, auditory learners. So you have to know the people that you're working with. And so there's some people you can get on the phone and say, hey, Josephine, I need you to do ABC. She's an auditory learner, so she could get that and be able to execute her part of the project. Whereas if you have a Carolyn, like me, I'm a visual learner. You may have to pull up your screen, or we may have to screen share, because I need a visual in order to execute my part of the project, okay? So you gotta get human. You have to know what their skill set is, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and guess what? Life happens, just plain old life, okay, that human beings deal with, all right? So do you have a plan in place to deal with the humanity part of the project? Okay, because that may be a requirement if you're collaborating with different kinds of people who have different kinds of learning styles, and they also come with different kinds of problems, but they also have different personalities. One of the things that I did with the collaboration that I work with, I put out a personality test. I just wanted to see who the different kinds of personalities that I'm working with. So I knew that if I wanted to get this done, that a sanguine personality, now I'm using some clinical terms here, but a sanguine personality could help me accomplish that. A choleric personality could help me get that portion done. All right. A melancholy person could perhaps help me to get that part of the project done. So you may have to put out a personality test, okay? A Briggs and Myers personality test, so you can see the different personalities that you're working with if you're going to form an effective collaboration. And point 6, encourage collaborative behavior. Remember, it's a culture. And with the culture, there's a language. And so what's the language of the collaborative culture? It's not I, but it's we. It's constantly reaffirming the we language. It's constantly talking about the teamwork, the nuggets to good teamwork. Okay, so creating within the culture a collaborative language, encouraging all of the collaborative partners that we are a team and we have to work together. And this is how we work together. Okay, so there'll be periods of time that we'll have to take out. You have to take out and say, listen, this is how we work together. How do you understand how to do certain things? How do you understand how to do certain things? What kinds of things do you need to be effective? What tools do you need? Sally may need a different set of tools than Eric may need. So you have to be able to find that out so that you can encourage collaboration, so that you can encourage diversity. You certainly want a team where everybody thinks like you, everybody looks like you, everybody behaves like you, because now you're not going to have a diverse team. All right. So in order to be effective, okay, in a collaborative project, we have to encourage collaborative language. So I'm going to leave you with this last quote. I told you I had one more. We've all heard it, but it certainly does work. And it says, teamwork makes the dream work. So that's what I want to leave with you. Teamwork makes the dream work. All right. So I hope that this has been insightful for you. I hope that you'll take these 6 steps, and while you're creating your next brainstorm, the next project, that you'll consider, would this project be more effective if I collaborated with some great minds? I want to challenge you with one last thing. I know as an African American woman, and you know if you're an African American woman, we've heard this over and over again. We've got to change the narrative of this. Black women can't work together. First of all, that's not true. We can. There are lots of Black women that I work with, and it is very effective and very fulfilling. But if we keep saying that, then we start to build a pathology that says we can't work together, okay? And the more we say it, the more it manifests itself. So let's change the narrative. We can work together, and when we work together, we are powerful, okay? We can collaborate together, because sometimes people don't collaborate because there's a trust factor. Why is there a trust factor? Well, certainly we've all had some bad experiences, but a lot of it is because we have bought into what we have heard, okay? So we've got to change the narrative so that we can change our pathology, the way that we look at ourselves and look at each other. And we've got to put into our pathology that together we're better, that we can be a strong force if we come together, if we merge our resources, our talents, and our time, that we can be extremely effective and extremely powerful. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you so much for listening to me on today. And I'll be looking out to see all of the beautiful collaborations that are about to get started. Again, my name is Dr. Carolyn Stevens, and I'm the CEO and visionary of the I Am a Black Woman, I Am a Black Man project. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you on today, and I pray that this was helpful to you. Have a great and wonderful day.